everybody wants to get united. Like, what we gotta do is meet everybody on 149th Street at the bench.
Hey dudes, welcome back to the bench. Today we got something new and interesting. We're gonna be sitting down with Mute for an interview, and a lot of these questions are going to be geared to help you guys. And we're gonna talk about everything. We're gonna talk about his history, we're gonna talk about how he's got such massive in order to be rocking daytime throwies in front of crowded areas full of people. And we're gonna ask him all about that and much more. But before we do, let me know who else you'd like me to interview in the comments down below. Now, to be clear, the way this interview worked was I actually shot him over an email full of questions, and he was kind enough in order to put together a video and shoot it my way, which I'm gonna be editing into this video. So to kick this interview off, when we featured you in one of our videos, people really loved your throwie. Can you tell us a bit about who you are, the crews you're in, what got you into graffiti to begin with, and when you began?
I'm Mute. I'm not actually Mute, I can talk, but I've been writing Mute for about 4 years now. It would have been like 2020 when I got into graph. I remember watching a graph doco, and it just got me invested. I went down like a rabbit hole of just graffiti. Started watching a bunch of documentaries and just all sorts of content about graffiti. And I just love the whole idea of it. That's what really got me into it. And after watching those videos, I started noticing graffiti everywhere. On my way to school, I would see it all the time, and I wanted to get into it. It was really like unlocking a new world, almost. And so I remember in English class, pulling out a thesaurus. It's probably the only time I've ever used a thesaurus. And I would just look through that book for a name. And I remember coming across the word mute. And as soon as I saw it, I knew it was perfect. I just knew it was me,
Now check this out. If you guys really want to learn everything there is to know about graffiti, check out the best How to Do Graffiti book anywhere on the market. That book goes over variant structures. It goes over way too much, in all honesty. This is the book I wish I had when I first started. Pick it up in the description down below, but let's get back to the questions. In the one clip you shared, you rocked a daytime spot. When you first started writing, did you always have nerves of steel, or were you really nervous and scared at first? If you did initially get nervous, how did you overcome that to the point where you're doing daytime spots?
I remember when I first started doing graffiti, just hitting those tables and those chairs in school, I definitely got nervous. But I think, just that confidence comes with time. Just getting up more and more really helps. And, start small. I started with stickers in those populated areas in the city. Then I started doing tags, and those tags got bigger and bigger and bigger. Then I started doing those hollow throws. And honestly, no one really cares. People are busy. And, every once in a while, maybe someone will stop, especially if I'm doing like a full throwie. People might stop. But honestly, people are just curious. And often, they won't cause too much problems. Sometimes you might get a negative reaction, but it's really not that common. Cops might pull up, but it's as easy as running away. There's really nothing to fear. Fear does keep you safe, but too much fear will stop that progression. So I think, you just really got to push yourself and just send it, really.
Now, Mute actually has a YouTube channel you can find in the description down below, and I watched every single one of his videos. And he's got a pretty good range of work. Everything from hand styles, straight letters, throwies, the whole 9 yards. And I also noticed that he hits quite a few spots. So I asked him, what is your favorite kind of spot to rock? And what do you prefer, tags, throwies, or pieces?
I reckon my favorite spot to hit are definitely those roller doors. Just hitting them with throwies. I think throwies are my favorite thing about graffiti, honestly. It just represents someone's style more than anything, in my opinion. My tags are pretty mediocre, to be honest. I like to keep it simple. I love the readability of letters.
Now, you've nailed your throwie down to a science, and it comes out clean every single time. We all know a large part of that comes with experience in hitting walls, but is there any other tips that you can give to new writers to help them land that consistency in their work?
I think there really is nothing better than practice when it comes to, trying to get consistent throwies. But no one wants to hear that practice makes perfect. I don't know any really secret tips. Honestly, maybe just slow down a bit. I've noticed beginners that they're always trying to go so quickly. But if you really slow down and let your muscle memory build, your throwies will come out a lot cleaner if you really think about what you're doing with your throwie. And tags as well, just slow down a little bit, and it'll come out way nicer.
Alright, so for the average night out bombing, what's it like? Take us through from the top. Before you even leave the house, do you already know the spots and the walls you're hitting, or is this something that you kind of do on the fly? Because I know a lot of graffiti artists, they actually scope out the spots that they want to go ahead and take before they go out on a mission, and for others, it's a little bit more lackadaisical. They kind of just see where, life takes them, if you will, and they hit the spots as they come.
Before I go painting, I always get my cans ready, obviously, but I'll pick out the colors. You know, I'll usually have like 4 colors, you know, 2 blacks, 2 whites. I'll shake them up and I'll change all the caps to New York fat caps. I love New York fat caps, and I use them for all my cans when I go bombing. But I usually don't know the spots that I'm hitting. I sort of just wing it every single time. You know, when I go to the city, I'm honestly lost every single time. I'm terrible with roads. I sort of just figure that out as I go, but I kind of like it that way.
Now, Mute is actually from New Zealand, and to be honest, I don't know a lot of people from New Zealand. So I went ahead and asked him, what's the graffiti scene like over there? How rough is the competition? And how's the law enforcement when it comes to riders?
The graffiti scene in New Zealand is pretty tight, just because New Zealand is, you know, so small. But yeah, the graffiti scene is really close, I think, from what I've seen. And it's really chill. It's a really cool community. Really strong culture. There's a lot of competition when it comes to the art scene. There are some insane artists in New Zealand, so there is a lot of competition when it comes to the art scene. The law enforcement, you know, it's pretty mediocre. Like, it's what you'd expect the law enforcement to be, I guess. I haven't really, you know, experienced it too much, but the fines are pretty heavy. I think it's like $200 a tag, and that adds up. You know, they put it all in the system, and they'll make you pay that, and if you don't, they'll take it out your paycheck. So you gotta really make sure you don't get caught. That's what I've heard, at least, but I don't really know too much about it.
Now, if you have experience in graffiti, if you got experience in this game, you know graffiti will take you to some wild places. It'll let you experience some of the craziest things you'll see in your life. So we went ahead and asked Mute, what's the craziest memory you have catching spots? Let's hear the story, man.
I think the craziest memory I have doing graffiti is I remember I was just looking for rooftop spots. This was when I was just riding solo, you know, and I was just going into random buildings, going into elevators and just hitting the top floor, seeing if it was unlocked or easy access. And I remember going into this one building, going up to the top floor, and it was unlocked. So I went out and had a look. And the door closed behind me, and I didn't realize, but I had locked myself on the roof. You know, so I went to check the door, and I could not get out. And, you know, I didn't even paint anything up there. You know, I was like, what am I gonna do? The door's locked. So I messaged a few of my friends, you know, to see if someone could come out and help me. But no one answered. So I was just stuck on this roof. I remember sitting up there for like 20 minutes just thinking, like, what am I even gonna do with myself here? I ended up, I had to climb off the roof onto another building, and I had to climb down onto the balcony because it was like an apartment building. And I went onto this apartment sort of balcony, and I dropped down from that balcony to another balcony, and it was like 5 floors of balconies. And that hurts. It hurts your upper body going down that. And like once I got to the last balcony, like it was a massive drop. So I had to go down this there was like a, I don't know what, it wasn't the gutter pole, but it was just some random pole that came outside the wall and went straight down. So I had to go down like a fireman. But my upper body was like so tired from going down these balconies. You know, when I slid down, I couldn't hold on the, you know, this pole tight enough. So I ended up getting some insane ground shock, and I could like barely walk. And I think that's like the craziest story I have. And the worst part about it is I never even painted anything on the roof. So I did all of that, I got stuck, and I managed to get down, and I never even painted anything up there. That's what annoys me so much about that. I think that's the craziest story that I have.
Now, when you're sitting down with an interview with a writer, you have to ask the obvious question, right? Have you had any run-ins with the police? And if so, what's that story like?
I've never been arrested for doing graffiti. I've been chased a few times, but I don't really have any, you know, crazy stories. Often when you're in the city, you get away pretty easily, just because, you know, there's like 1,000 people to run into, and you disappear just like that. There's so many side streets that you can get lost on, you know, and they'll just can't catch up.
Now, graffiti is this weird thing, right? I mean, it is a very chaotic art form. It's a very chaotic lifestyle if you really delve headfirst into it, especially. At the same time, it's this weird thing where we end up meeting some of the best friends we'll ever make in our life. So I felt like it was worth asking, do you have any memories that really stand out as being a favorite memory of yours? Doesn't have to be anything crazy either, right? It doesn't have to be like some super bombastic story, but a story that makes you grateful and happy to be a graffiti artist. I know personally I have a lot. I know a lot of you guys, you know, watching this video likely have a lot, and if you want, leave them in the comments down below, share it with us. But I was really interested to see what Mute would say about this.
I think something that makes me grateful, you know, and happy to be a graffiti writer is that my Christmas cards, my birthday cards, you know, my Mother's Day cards that I make, they're better than all my siblings. I got the greatest cards. Mine are way more interesting. You know, they're just getting these bought ones from, you know, the warehouse. They got lame ass cards. I got some custom made, you know, perfect. They're just way better. You know, I think that's something that makes me happy to be a graffiti writer. Siblings are lacking. That's why I'm the favorite.
So for the last question I asked Mute, let us know what you're up to. Let us know what you got coming down the pipeline next. And any social media or people you want to go ahead and shout out, this is the time to do it.
I've really only hit the tip of the iceberg when it comes to doing graffiti. You know, I'm yet to hit my first train, so I reckon the next thing I want to do is hit some trains. I want to hit more buses, more trucks, you know, and it's on for life, so I want to do everything when it comes to graffiti. I want to do it all. Yeah, shout out to everyone in Rewa, and shout out to everyone in New Zealand. You know, keep getting up.
This series was a lot of fun, guys. If you want more of this, once again, let me know other writers you want me to go ahead and reach out to, you want me to go ahead and interview. But let's kind of set the tone for this series. I'd really like to interview anybody with an interesting story, or anybody who's got notable skill. And that includes everyone from Graffiti Legends to you guys. So that's gonna be kind of how the series goes. But with that said, dudes, if you enjoyed it, be sure to hit the like button, you know, all that good stuff. And of course, if you'd like to check out the best How to Do Graffiti book anywhere on the market, then we got a link to it in the description down below. And we also have more graffiti content over here with the best graffiti tutorials up here. With all that said, I'll catch you guys back here next week. Thanks for watching.